and activities. It's explained in the Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter, text 9. Janma karma chimedavyam yavamyo vedi tatvata tyaktva puna janma naiti mam meti sarjana. So this verse is explaining the significance of hearing about and understanding Krishna's appearance and his activities, and it's saying that one who knows the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities, upon quitting this body, never takes birth again. So that's chapter 4, text 9. It's a very famous verse. Prabhupada quoted it many times. So this verse is saying, just by knowing that Krishna's birth and his activities are transcendental, that's what you have to know. You have to know that his appearance and activities are not ordinary. He's not an ordinary human being like us. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's completely transcendental to this material world. So we have to understand that his appearance and activities are different than ours, but they're transcendental. And the significance of understanding that, if we can actually understand that before we die, is that we won't have to take birth again. So if we understand that, then this is our last birth in the material world. We obviously got to face old age, disease and death, that part of the cycle. We explained where we can break out of the cycle, remember? The cycle of samsara is birth, old age, disease and death. So we explain where do we break out of that cycle? That we break out of that cycle at the time of death and no more birth. So that is guaranteed by Krishna if we can, one of the criteria is given in this verse, if we can understand that his appearance and activities is transcendental. That when the body dies, we'll be transferred to where he is in the spiritual world, to the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world. Actually, in some places in the scriptures, it is explained there is one more birth in the material world. But that is not an ordinary birth. And that birth is that if we become fully Krishna conscious by the time of death, then at that time we're transferred to whichever universe Krishna is, displaying his pastimes in the material world. Material world is made up of unlimited universes. This is one of them. So Krishna was in this universe 5,000 years ago, approximately. When he left this universe, he went straight to another one. It's like explained like a transcendental road show, just like a road show. They're traveling around doing their music concert, going from one city to another, from Sydney to Canberra to Melbourne to Adelaide to Perth to Brisbane, like that. The road show's always on the road. When they finish the road, once they finish at one town, they go to another town. So it's always going on. Even I know that before this COVID hit, the devotees were going from one music concert to another distributing prasadam. So they were pretty much, 12 months of the year, they were always distributing prasadam somewhere in Australia. Sometime it would be distributing prasadam in Sydney, sometime in Brisbane, sometime in Perth, sometime here and there. But at any one given time, there'd always be prasadam being distributed somewhere. So it's like that. Krishna's always in the material world. Did you know that? Krishna's always in the material world in one universe or another. Constantly he's traveling around. So when his stealing butter pastime is over in this universe, then he's stealing butter somewhere else in some other universe and feeding it to the monkeys. When he's lifting Govardhan Hill in this universe, when that's finished, he's lifting Govardhan Hill in another universe. When he's killing the Aristasura demon, when he's finished killing him in this universe, then he's killing him in another universe, like that. So when he's finished dancing with the gopis in this universe, he's dancing with the gopis in another universe. So that's always going on. So it's said that if we become perfect in our Krishna consciousness by this process of hearing and chanting and remembering Krishna, then we get transferred to whichever universe Krishna is having his pastimes, and we get fully trained up in how to serve Krishna there before we go back to the spiritual world. But of course, wherever Krishna is, even in the material world, is as good as the spiritual world. Even when Krishna was on this earth in the material world 5,000 years ago, if you were having association with Krishna, you're as good as in the spiritual world. Wherever God is, that's like the spiritual world. Completely ecstatic, completely blissful, no anxieties, no fear. Everything's wonderful like that. You're completely oblivious of what the material world is happening there. So, and then one's fully trained up there, takes birth in a family of devotees, takes birth in a family of Vajvasis, means like residents of Vrindavan, takes birth in that family, and right from day one is trained up in Krishna's service, Krishna consciousness, how to make garlands for Krishna, how to cook for Krishna, how to do all the services like that. And then from at the end of that pastime, the end of that life, then Krishna departs from that universe. So, and the devotees also will go to different places. So then we can go back to the spiritual world. So that's explained as the process there.
I have a question.
Jayanti has a question.
You know how we were reading in Krishna book that, like for instance, there was this demon. What his name? It's not really a demon, but a evil king. A demon. He was with Kashiraj. He was dressed as
Pundraka.
Pundraka. And then he was killed by Krishna, and he got liberated. He got the
Swarupya.
So the same form as Krishna.
Yeah.
So as Vishnu. So my question was that, okay, if Krishna is going to have his pastime in another universe, then who's going to be Pundraka? Because he was liberated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, there's different scenarios. Depends on the situation.
Demons.
So there's different scenarios, yeah, and not necessarily the same demon. Like even in some universes, like Nrsimhadev pastime is going on, where he's killing the demon and everything like that. But sometimes he kills him in a different way. So it's not like that every universe the pastime is like a photocopy exactly. But Krishna's a person, he likes doing things differently. So he'll take out a demon one way one time, another time he'll take him out in a different way, or like that, or the personalities might have different names, or some slightly different variations like that. So variety is there. So there's a lot of different scenarios. It's not always going to be the way I'm explaining, that you take birth in the material world one more time wherever Krishna is. But that's said to be a general principle to get further training before we go back to the spiritual world. That's very important. And I mean, that's why we have a spiritual master. What is the purpose of having a spiritual master? He's training us how to serve Krishna. We can't be incompetent in serving Krishna in the spiritual world. We have to be expert. So the spiritual master, he's expert in serving Krishna, and he trains us how to be expert. I remember one time when I was serving my spiritual master in America, he said, the way I'm teaching you is the way Prabhupada trained me. The way I'm training you, he said, is the way Prabhupada trained me. So, each devotee trains other devotees. So whatever we've been taught by our teacher, we pass that on and train others like that. So it could be, training in many different areas of service. Training how to chant properly, training how to speak properly, training how to cook properly, how to clean properly. Even Prabhupada taught the devotees basically everything. They didn't know anything really. They're dirty hippies. And Prabhupada trained them how to clean themselves. Even like if you want to serve God, you can't be a dirty person. You have to be very clean. So Prabhupada taught them how to clean their bodies, how to clean the floor, how to clean the rooms, everything like that. He taught them specifically, how to cook, how to eat. He even taught them how to eat properly. To sit on the floor, not sit at a chair, sit on the floor. Cross-legged is very good for the health. And eat with the hand. Everyone ate with a knife and fork and that, so he taught them how to eat with their hands and so many things like that. So this is the spiritual master is training the disciple how to be expert. He's expert. He's helping us to be expert so that by the time we go back to the spiritual world, we can be expert at serving Krishna. And of course, it's eternal, so we just get better and better at it. Whatever our services are, making garlands in the spiritual world or cooking in the spiritual world, you just get better and better at it. It said the Radharani, she never cooks the same preparation twice for Krishna in the spiritual world, eternally. Can you imagine that? That's a lot of variety. That's a lot of variety. So much variety there. And you're just always wanting to do your service more and more better. So it's like ever fresh. Navam Navam means ever fresh. So that's our existence in the spiritual world. We're an ever fresh youth, isn't it? No old age in the spiritual world, no disease, no death. We're always youthful. It's called Navam Navam. So we're an ever fresh youth, ever fresh youth. And our services are always fresh. Even like now, we notice in the material world, when you go to the temple to see Krishna, he always looks new, isn't it? He always looks different. You're never thinking, oh, I saw Krishna yesterday, I don't want to see him today, it's just the same. No, he always looks new. Have you noticed that, Bhakti Mala?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You never think, oh, this is the same Krishna that I saw yesterday. No, he always looks new. So it's like that. Our existence is like that, always fresh in the spiritual world. Whereas in the material world, often our relationships are very, very dry and very hackneyed and like that, very repetitive. But even though it seems like we're repeating the same things, like we repeat the same mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's only 3 words, right? I think, well, that's going to be pretty boring after a while, just repeating 3 words. But it's not. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's like it's always fresh. These 3 words, I've been saying these 3 words over and over for 28 years, and it hasn't got boring. It's the same 3 words, but there's something different about these words than ordinary words. Prabhupada challenged, you make up your own mantra, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Pepsi, and see how long you can say that for. You won't be able to go very long. You can pick any material vibration, any material words, but you're going to get bored after a while. And but we see that devotees can chant Hare Krishna and it just gets better and better, the same words. So because these are spiritual vibrations. Krishna has a spiritual form. He has spiritual names, spiritual pastimes, everything spiritual body, like that. So it's always fresh, always new. See, Krishna was on the earth for 125 years, but he never looked older than 16 years old. Never looked older than about 16 years old. So if you ever see a picture of Krishna looking old, that's not a bona fide picture. You throw it out. Like sometimes the Christians present God as an old man with a beard. Throw that idea out. God is not an old man with a beard. He's always young and handsome and dashing. That's why his name is Krishna. He's very attractive. He's attracting everyone. I was just thinking it's very interesting because this verse 4th chapter, text 9 is saying that understanding Krishna's transcendental appearance and activity. So his appearance was in a very interesting situation. Who knows where Krishna appeared? What setting? What place did Krishna appear in? Did he appear in a forest? Did he appear in a city? Where did he appear?
I'm just saying, like you were saying forest city.
He appeared in prison. He was born in a prison. So I was thinking that's very, very interesting if we look at it related to what's happening us today. Do any of us feel a bit imprisoned at the moment? It's called lockdown, right? You know, we can't leave your house. You're not allowed to leave your house unless it's like a essential thing, you know, to buy some groceries or something, you know. And I wanted to get rid of some rubbish today, and I rang the rubbish dump, and they said, "Oh no, you can't bring your stuff to get at the moment because it's locked down." So I thought, oh, okay. So, but which was good because I just spent more time cooking preparations for Janmashtami tomorrow. So, but you know, there's so much restrictions. So Krishna also, even though he's God, but when he appeared in the material world, he appeared in that in a very horrible place, what you know, which is a prison house, because actually his uncle had imprisoned his mother and father. The uncle's name was Kamsa, so he was a very demoniac. He was an asura, a demon, and it had been predicted. He heard some voices from the sky some years earlier when he was doing a nice service, taking his sister and brother-in-law on their marriage day. He was taking them to the brother-in-law's house. Because, you know, obviously the woman would move from her father's house to her husband's home on the marriage day. So that was being done by Devaki's brother. So he did that. So he was all very nice until he heard a voice from the sky saying, "Oh, ha, ha, what a fool you are, Kamsa. You don't know that the 8th child of your sister is going to be the cause of your death. Ha, ha, ha." Like that sort of thing, this bad omen sort of thing. Immediately he heard that, he pulled out a sword and he grabbed his sister by the hair and was going to chop her head off. And he was going to chop her head off. But luckily, her husband, Vasudeva, her new husband, was a very intelligent person. So he managed to pacify the demon Kamsa and prevent her immediate death. And so he promised that, don't worry, I'll bring each of the children, that if we do have any children, I'll bring each one to you and you can do whatever you like with them. So he was famous for being very truthful to his word. So even Kamsa was a demon, but he had full trust in the words of Vasudeva. I mean, you can never trust a demon, but you can always trust the devotee because they never break their word. So he brought each one of the children that were born to Kamsa, and Kamsa killed them. Child number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
In between he said, right?
In the beginning, but then in the beginning, when the children were brought to him, he said his heart softened because Vasudeva is such an honourable guy. He said, "Oh, no need for me to take these children because it's only the 8th one that's going to kill me." But later on, his associates gave him some very bad ideas. And also Narada Muni spoke to him. Now, Narada Muni's a devotee. He's not a demon. But Narada Muni wanted to speed up Krishna's coming. And he wanted to accelerate Krishna's appearance on the earth. So he thought a good way to do that. And he said that, Kamsa, you're a real fool. You know, you don't realize that Krishna's not going to come alone. Krishna's going to come with all the demigods and all of his associates and demigods like that, and they're going to take birth in the Yadu family. So then Kamsa got scared. So then he took one by one, he took the children Devaki and Vasudeva, thinking that they may be demigods and so forth, powerful demigods, which are like the enemies of the demons. So, and then he killed them. So he killed those children one by one. So that was 6 in the first 6, and the 7th one appeared to be a miscarriage. But the 7th one wasn't actually a miscarriage. What happened was that goddess Durga, who was the female energy, the female person that controls the material world, the wife of Lord Shiva, so she transferred Balaram, because Balaram had appeared as the 7th child of Devaki. So Durga Maya, Mahamaya, Yoga Maya, transferred Balaram from the womb of Devaki to the womb of another woman named Rohini. Rohini was being taken care of. She was hiding from Kamsa in the Vrindavan village. So not far away, about half an hour away by modern transportation, over the other side of the river Yamuna from where Mathura was. Then Balaram was transferred there to Rohini, so everyone thought that
Rohini was also another wife of Vasudeva.
Yeah, he was another wife, because Vasudeva had more than one wife. So he was another wife of Vasudeva. She was hiding there under the care of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And then at the time the 8th child was to be born, so Krishna was appearing as the prediction was there. And so he appeared at midnight. He appeared at midnight. That's why when we celebrate, building up to midnight. And then there's an aarti normally done at the temple at midnight. Normally there's no aartis at midnight. There's only once a year there's an aarti at midnight. Every other time, the last aarti in most temples is at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is the final aarti in most temples. Some temples don't have a full aarti system, and the last one will be 7 o'clock, like at Yuga, the last one is at 7. But if there's full elaborate worship, then the last aarti is at 9 o'clock. So the first one is at 4:30, and the last one is at 9 o'clock. That's not a problem. And but Krishna appeared at midnight. So that on Krishna's appearance, we do an aarti at midnight, which is celebrating that he's appeared at that time. He's appeared at that time. So then, after Krishna appeared, he appeared fully grown. So he didn't like pop out of his mother's vagina with an umbilical cord and covered with blood and a tiny little baby. He appeared fully grown with 4 arms. How many babies have you seen born with 4 arms? So, and blue, fully grown with 4 arms and a full set of long hair. Babies maybe they have a little bit more hair than me, not much, sometimes a little bit more than me, but he had fully grown long hair and full and clothing, not naked, but nice yellow dhoti, and all jewelries and ornaments and bangles and garland and everything like that. So definitely not an ordinary birth. So see, this is what we have to understand, that Krishna's birth is not an ordinary material birth. He's actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's descended to this material world. And there's reasons why he's descended, which we can explain a little bit about that. And fully grown. And then his mother and father offered some nice prayers to him. And they realized that he was not an ordinary child, obviously. So they offered some with a lot of awe and reverence. They had their hands folded. They were a bit afraid because it was very bewildering situation. And he's like effulgent like the sun. So it's like the whole prison, inside their prison room, was all lit up like, having the sun standing right next to you, and like that. So it was a very awesome kind of experience. They offered prayers. And then, but still, they had a desire that God would that God would come as their son, that they would have God as a son. So some devotees have the desire to have the Lord as their child. So this is called rasa, bhakti rasa. So depending on the desire of the devotee to how they want to serve the Lord, how they want to reciprocate with the Lord, so the Lord will reciprocate perfectly with them. So if you want to have the Lord as your master, he'll appear as your master. If you want to have the Lord as your friend, he'll appear as your friend. What's an example of the Lord being your friend? Who had the Lord as their friend? Like equal.
Arjuna.
Friend means equal. Not higher, not lower, equal.
Arjuna.
Arjuna.
Mm.
Krishna was his friend. And that's because Arjuna, the soul, Arjuna wanted to have that kind of relationship with God. That he's my best friend. And some souls want to have a relationship that God is my child. They want to have that kind of relationship. However, there's no relationship where God is my parent. There's no rasa like that. Why not? Why there's no rasa that God is going to be my mum and dad, but there's only the rasa where he's going to be my child? I'll give you a clue. Who serves who? Who serves who? In a relationship between parents and children, who is doing the service?
The parents are. The parent
The parents are.
Yeah.
So it's not a good idea to have God as your parent because he's serving you and you don't want God to serve you. The whole idea of a devotee is that you want to serve God. So if you want to serve God, it's better to have God as your child. Then you can serve him to your heart's content. And then some devotees want to have a relationship that God is my lover, like that. So there's different rasas, different relationships. So in one sense, God is that person that has no mother and father. Like some people ask, where does God come from? God doesn't come from anywhere. Everything comes from him. Adir, Anadir, Govinda in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara, Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. Anadir, Adir, Govinda, Savakarana Karanam. That Anadi, Adi means beginning. Anadi means no beginning. And Adi means, like I said, the beginning. So he has no beginning, but he is the beginning of everything else. So he's the source of everything else. Like he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ham Savasya Prabhava, I'm the source of everything in the material and spiritual world. Everything comes from me. So he's the source of everything else. But what's his source? He doesn't have a source. He's always been there. He's always been existing as the supreme person. And we're little sparks from him. We're little sparks from him. Sparks of the fire, light from the sun. So we're radiated, we're energy of him, but he's always been existing. So, I mean, in terms of philosophy, God has no mother and father. In terms of philosophy, he is the supreme father of everyone. And he says that, Aham Bija Pradapada, in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. But that's philosophy. But in terms of rasa, so rasa means relationships. So in terms of relationships, it's different. So do you understand that? In terms of the truth or philosophy, he has no mother and father. He is the father of everyone else. He is the original father. Yeah. But in terms of rasa or relationship, he's got many mothers and fathers. Many mothers and fathers. He first appeared to two devotees, Devaki and Vasudeva. He accepted them as his mother and father. Then he was transferred to Vrindavan and he accepted two different devotees as his mother and father. Nanda Maharaj, he's the cowherd king, and Yashoda, his wife, the queen, the king and queen of Vrindavan. So, and then many other personalities also wanted to have that relationship with him, and he accepted them as that way, in that way as well. And there was many, like nurse mothers when Krishna was a child. There was many women would come to Krishna and feed their breast milk to Krishna and feed Krishna, and they had a motherly mood too. So Krishna had many nurse mothers and so many different mothers and fatherly kind of figures that treated him like a child, like that. So Jayanti has another question.
So, in that, in the Shantaras, which is like your
Neutrality.
Yeah. So in that relationship, I mean, it's a relationship of awe, right?
Yeah.
Generally a relationship of awe and reverence. So in that, people could be looking at Krishna as the father, and because there is some respect to not many people give respect to parents or elders, but generally there is some respect towards the parents, right?
Well, it's explained in Shantaras there's no active service started yet, just some appreciation.
Yeah. There's no service yet.
There's no service. Jayanti's asking all the technical questions. That's so good. So yeah, so that's how we understand that God has parents. So it can be a little bit bewildering, but if you understand in that way, it's not a problem at all. That God can appear in any particular form, just according to the desire of the devotee, and that's his love. Because he loves us so much, he'll appear just in a particular, in a way, in a form, just to suit our desires. So he's so caring about us, and he perfectly knows how to please our innermost desires. He knows our innermost desires, and he can manifest in a form just perfect to fulfill our desires like that. He's so personal. And then, so he appeared with 4 arms, fully grown. And then his mother, Devaki, freaked out. Oh my God, when Kamsa sees you, he's going to know you're the one that's going to take him out, and he's going to kill you. And she's in a motherly mood, right? She's not thinking, oh, he's more than Superman, Spider-Man, Rambo, everything all put together. He's God, no one can kill him. She's not thinking like that. She's thinking, oh, he's my dear little helpless kid. He's going to get hurt. This Kamsa's going to kill him. So she's not thinking that he's Ajita, because actually God's unconquerable. No one can kill God. But remember, she's in the mood of mother. She's not thinking, oh, Krishna's Ajita, Krishna's unconquerable. He can kill everyone. No one can kill him. She's thinking, he's my helpless little kid. I have to protect him. Because a parent's always thinking, right? I have to protect my kid. I have to protect my kid. I have to protect my kid. So that's her mood. So she was in great anxiety that when Kamsa sees her 4-armed kid, then he's going to know that this is Vishnu come to kill him, and let's get rid of him. So Devaki asked him in her prayers, please can you assume a more normal kind of form that's sort of easier to disguise, easier to sort of hide and disguise. So Krishna transformed from a fully grown, 4-armed, fully dressed person into a beautiful little cute blue boy, a little cute little, more ordinary looking. I mean, bluish. So I mean, not. But I mean, there were actually quite a few. There were actually quite a few persons that had a bluish complexion going back in time. Even I know. Actually, quite a few of Krishna's devotees had a bluish skin color, and that was because they had so much love for Krishna that they were so absorbed in meditating on Krishna's form that their own form looked similar to Krishna's, and the color also similar. Like, did you know that Arjuna had a bluish colored skin? Because he's thinking about Krishna so much. He's also blue. And Uddhava, one of Krishna's cousins, Uddhava, great devotee of Krishna, he was also blue. So, I mean, there were other people around that were blue. So, I mean, that's not completely outrageous that he's blue. And so then they had to get him out of there because Kamsa checks them every now and again. And the guards, of course, as soon as the guard sees the 8th child, they're going to alert Kamsa. And Kamsa's going to come with a sword and kill him like they killed the rest. So they wanted to get him out of there. So, but of course, they're stuck in a prison. What can they do? But Krishna is no problem, right? Because he's God. So, okay, they were worried about him. We've got to get him out of here. So Krishna said, okay, you know, so Krishna took over and made the arrangements. He made all the guards fall asleep. So all the guards in the prison fell asleep at the same time. What's the chances of that? And normally, of course, they're on the night shift, right? So they have no problem staying up at night, just like we have the night shift workers now. You know, they have no problem staying up at night, but they all fell asleep because Krishna put them to sleep. And then all the gates, which were padlocked, opened up. They just opened themselves up. All the gates opened up. And there was a terrible storm outside. So he said, okay, Vasudeva, Father, you carry me outside. You carry me and take me to Vrindavan. So he took him outside as a terrible storm, which is very uncomfortable to be in a storm. But then Krishna's incarnation called Anantasesha, who was a many-hooded serpent, had appeared there and covered over Krishna and his father like an umbrella. So they didn't even get wet. But then they have to cross the river, and the river Yamuna, which is always massive, but it became even more massive. Like now, our little stream has become a big river now because we've had heaps of rain the last few days, so it's swollen up. So like the Yamuna had completely swelled up, and Vasudeva was thinking, how the hell am I going to get across there? And he didn't have a boat or anything, or a jet ski or anything like that. So the river, by Krishna's will, the river Yamuna just parted. You know, like what's that said in the Bible? That's in the Old Testament, right? When Moses or whatever was going there, and the what kind of sea was that? It was called what was the name of that sea?
Was it the Red Sea?
I thought it was the Red Sea.
Yeah, the Red Sea or something. It just parted away, you know, and they all walked across. So it was like that. The Yamuna just parted on both sides, and Vasudeva with this umbrella of serpents over his head, you know, just walked right across. He didn't even get his feet wet. Didn't have a drop on his body, you know. And then at that time in Vrindavan, then Mother Yashoda was also, she had been pregnant also, and she was giving birth at around the same time. So she had given birth to a female child. So she was so tired from giving birth that she'd fallen asleep. After giving birth, she had fallen asleep. So Vasudeva went in the room with baby Krishna and put baby Krishna on her lap and took the female child, took Yashoda's female child, carried the female child back across the river, back into the prison, shut the gates. The guards woke up. Then the guards saw this child there. They called out to Kamsa. Kamsa came. He grabbed the child and with the purpose of smashing it on the wall. He was just going to grab the child and throw it on the wall and kill it like that. But then the parents pleaded. I mean, it's been predicted you're going to be killed by a male child, not by a female child. This is our daughter, a female. No need to kill this one. But he was so crazy that he didn't care. So as he was going to smash the female child went out of his hand and went into the sky and transformed into Durga. Now, that would have been a very heavy-duty experience for Kamsa because she has about 10 arms and they're all carrying weapons, not nice things. they're all carrying swords and axes and arrows and everything like that. So she's pretty heavy duty. So, and then and actually Kamsa was a worshipper of Durga, because usually demons worship the demigods. Demons usually worship demigods. So, but he didn't expect to see it like this. And then, and she chastised him like anything. You rascal, like that. She chastised him and said, the person that's destined to kill you has appeared somewhere else. And, you know, basically your time's up, mate. You know, so that was the beginning of Durga's being manifest on the earth at that time. So, and then Krishna was brought up. Krishna was brought up in Vrindavan, you know, and everyone in Vrindavan thought that Krishna's parents were Nanda and Yashoda. And then so many wonderful pastimes you can read in Krishna book. So, but this is what we need to understand, you know, we need to be thinking about these things and absorbing these things, his appearance and his activities, and understanding that they're transcendental, they're not ordinary. And it's interesting, like I was saying, that Krishna appeared in a prison, because our situation at the moment with this lockdown and stuff all around the world and COVID and that, very miserable. It was similar when Krishna appeared. He appeared like that. One reason we could say is that he's showing us that the nature of this world is miserable. Even though he's God, but he's appearing like that in a prison, showing us the nature of this material world. Actually, the whole material world is compared to a prison. Don't think, well, I'm not in a prison, I'm all right. But actually, the whole, just because you're not in the local prison in Australia or New Zealand or whatever, but actually the whole universe is a prison. The whole world is a prison. And the bars, what are the bars of this prison? Birth,
Death,
old age,
disease.
disease, death, you know, miseries of the body and mind, miseries from other living entities, you know, miseries from material nature itself, you know, hurricanes, disasters, viruses, so forth. These are like the shackles. These are like the shackles and the bars of the prison. So everyone is bound up. Actually, we're called Bada. Bada means bound. So our conditioned souls are bound in this material world. So we're completely controlled by these things. Like, you know, we thought we had, a human society thought we had it all under control, right? Till this tiny little virus turns up, and we realize we're completely useless. We're completely helpless. Even with all our science, technology, medicine, everything like that, it's all hopeless. I mean, this Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, she thinks she can eliminate COVID virus. She's an illusion. She's completely an illusion. You can't. It's like thinking you can break out of the prison. You can't break out of the prison. No, that disease is part of the prison of the material world. You can't remove disease from the material world. It's part of it's inbuilt into the material world. I mean, even if you could eradicate one disease, like we thought, well, by our you know, vaccines and that, we've eradicated polio or whatever. No, but it's still there. But even if you think you have got rid of it, but then another one will come, like COVID-19. Well, then we'll get rid of COVID-19, but then COVID-20 will come. Then COVID-21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. You know, so even if you could get rid of one problem, another problem will replace it. And that's the way the material is set up. So Krishna himself, he built this material world, he created it, and he appeared inside a prison within the prison, like that, just to make sure you got it. If you forgot that the whole material world is a prison, then he appeared in a prison within the prison, like that. And actually, the name of the person that controls the prison, like I said, the female energy of the Lord, her name's Durga, the wife of Lord Shiva. She's the control of the prison. Her name The name Durga means fortress. It means prison. Her name, Durga.
It means the controller of the fortress. Durga.
Yeah, well, Dur, if you break Durga down, Dur means difficult. Difficult to go. Difficult. And then Ga means to go. So difficult to go. Durga. Difficult to go. So like we're finding it difficult to go anywhere at the moment, aren't we? Because it's lockdown. So that's Durga. So she's the boss of that. She's giving us a very hard time to get anywhere. Very hard. If we're trying, everyone, where do we want to get to? We want to get to freedom. But we all want, the liberation, the freedom from suffering. We want to get free from suffering, and we want to get away from suffering, but it's very hard to. Another one of her names is Rudrani, and her husband's name, another one of Shiva's names is Rudra, Rudra, Rudra and Rudrani. So Rudra, this name Rudrani means the persons who make others cry. That's the meaning of that name. They cause others to cry. So that's actually their unfortunate, unpleasant job. They don't like that job, but their job is to punish the conditioned souls who have rebelled against their duty to be a loving servant of the Lord. We were made to be loving servants of the Lord, and we rebelled against that. We don't want to serve the Lord. We want to be the Lord ourselves and control, exploit, and everything like that, enjoy. We want to imitate the Lord. So this is a very unfortunate situation. It's a very degraded situation. So Rudrani's job is to inflict different punishments on the souls to try to rectify them. It's like, why do the governments have a prison? The governments like having prisons, but it's necessary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because some citizens, they don't want to follow the laws of the government, and they create a disturbance in society. So what's the solution? If you have some citizens, they don't want to follow the law of the government, then what's the solution? You have to rectify them. How are you going to rectify them?
Remove them from society.
Oh, Deepa, can you speak a bit louder, please?
Oh, remove them from society.
Yeah, you have to remove them from society because you don't want them disturbing the ones that are following the rules. You don't want them creating a disturbance for those that are following. So like we got removed from the spiritual world because it created a disturbance there. As soon as you become a rebel, you don't want to serve, then we remove from society, so removed from the spiritual world. So we're put into the prison. The idea of the prison is that the person who's undergoing some punishment feels repentance. Or it feels repentant. That's a very important feeling to have, repentant. Oh, I blew it. I made a wrong turn. I made a mistake. I don't want to do that again. I'm never going to do that again. That feels repentant, and then through suffering, that repentance comes, and then we can turn back again. Okay, I want to be an honest citizen again. I surrender. I'm going to follow the rules from now on. I'm going to do what I'm told and do what I'm supposed to do. I give up. I surrender, and like that. So that's the whole idea of this prison house of the material world. It's meant for our rectification. They're not punishing us because they enjoy punishing us, but they're punishing us because we need it. Because we're not going to snap out of our ignorance and our illusion unless we get a few slaps.
Prabhu, I'm going to have to depart, I'm afraid.
Yes,
to go back. But thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Welcome.
Thank you.
And
Happy
thank you, Dr.
Janmashtami.
Mala, for suggesting that we all come together. It's beautiful.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And if you have time later on, what we're talking about tonight will be on what do you call it? Skype. We'll be sitting on Skype for a month.
Thank
So
you.
you could just pick it up from where you left off if you want to, within a
Thank you.
month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Bye-bye.
So, and then the question is, so why does Krishna come to the material world? Okay, appear in the prison, everything like that. So why did Krishna come to the material world? That's explained in chapter 4, text number 7 and 8. Text number 7 and 8 of chapter 4. Very important for understanding why Krishna comes, of Bhagavad Gita. So many people, they don't think that God can come to the material world. Some people think that God created the material world. Of course, many people think there is no God. But even those that think there is a God, they don't think that God can come to this material world and do anything in this material world. But of course, that's a foolish idea because, I mean, part of the definition of God is that he's completely free to do whatever he wants. So God can create the material world if he wants, and then he can come into his creation. There's nothing stopping him. There's no rule saying God can't come to the material world because he's the one that writes the rules anyway. So even if he did write that as a rule, then he could change it if he wants to. So if God wants to come to the material world, he can come. There's nothing can stop him. Definitely nothing can stop him. So then the question is, why would God want to come to the material world if it's like a prison? God is enjoying in the spiritual world. So definitely he's not coming here to enjoy. Because he needs something to enjoy. It means he's not coming here to get anything from the material world. He's already getting complete satisfaction from all of his loving relationships in the spiritual world. So he's not coming to the material world to get anything from us or from the material world, but he's coming to help us. So it says there in that text 7 and 8, Yada yada hidamasya glani bhavati bharata bhutanam adamasya tadatmanam srajamyaham Purchanaya sadhanam fanashatra diskutam dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuga yuga. So it's saying in those verses that he appears in every yuga, in every age. So in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, now it's Kali Yuga. So in this time goes in cycles, cyclical, like you have the gold age, silver age, copper age, iron age. In Sanskrit they say Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. And after Kali, which is now the iron age, then it goes back to the golden age, back to Satya Yuga again. So he appears in every age, he incarnates. It's called avatar. So his incarnations come in every age. And so why are they coming in every age? If there's a discrepancy in dharma, in religious principles. So when people go off the beaten track, so what are the religious principles? I mean, the real religious principle is to, as Krishna says at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharma pricha jamamikam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papavyo moksyamasya masuchaha, that we should abandon all of our so-called duties, our concocted duties, and just surrender to Krishna. Basically, we should just do whatever pleases Krishna, do what Krishna wants. Because we have so many ideas about what we want, right? So many desires, so many ambitions. I want to become rich, I want to become famous, and we want to please, I want to go to heaven, I want to merge in the Brahman. We have so many, I want, have a, beautiful woman around me and fantastic wealth and CEO of this organization, everything like that. So we have so many ideas about what the purpose of our life is. But Krishna's saying you have to give up all this nonsense ideas and just surrender to me and do what I say. So that's the ultimate religious principle, that we're the servant of God. We're part and parcel of God, so we're naturally the servant of God. We've explained this many times. Just like the hand is part of the body. If you say, hand, come here, it immediately comes, isn't it? Have you ever had a situation where your hand refused to do what you wanted? Hand, scratch my head. Hand, take my glasses off. Hand, put my glasses back on. See, the duty of the part is to be obedient to the whole. Otherwise it's a completely dysfunctional. If the hand stops doing what you want, that's called paralyzed, right? It's useless. It's not working anymore. It's paralyzed. So, and that's a disease condition. That's a disease condition. But the normal condition is that the hand is obedient to the whole. So we're part of God. So our normal condition is to be obedient to the whole, to be obedient to Krishna. Like Krishna told Arjuna, right? I want you to fight. So if you're in your normal, healthy condition as a soul, then you just do that. Even like Arjuna, he didn't want to fight, but then at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he realized that, well, Krishna wants him to fight. If this pleases Krishna, then I'll just fight. So that's obedient hand, can come here. So that's the situation. At the beginning, Arjuna was like a paralyzed hand. No, I'm not going to fight Krishna. So he's like, that's like paralyzed. That means like useless hand, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. So this is our real dharma, is to serve God, is to please God. And that's called bhakti yoga, to be a loving servant of God. But when people forget that, when people in the material world forget that they're here to serve God, then God descends. Then God descends to try to bring back society on the right path, to establish the real principles of Dharma. And in the next verse, he says that he comes to deliver or protect devotees. When devotees are experiencing suffering or some problems like that, then God loves his devotees. So he doesn't like them to be undergoing, difficulties. So he comes to deliver them. Like when Prahlad, his devotee Prahlad, the 5-year-old boy who was a great devotee of the Lord, was undergoing so much problem from his demoniac father, torturing him in so many ways. Then in due course of time, then Krishna appeared as Nrsimhadev, and then he killed that demon to protect his devotee. So two things are going side by side. He's protecting the devotee or delivering the devotee and killing the demons. Normally, the difficulty to devotees is coming only, the cause is coming only from the demons. This is the main problem. A devotee can tolerate, it's too hot, it's too cold, I lost my job, or whatever like that, we can tolerate these things. But the real things that become intolerable is the injustices and miseries inflicted by demons. And previous to Kali Yuga, there was big demons like Hiranyakashipu, and before him there was, and then after him was Ravana. In the Ramayana, Ravana was a big demon. He abducted Sita and created so many problems. And then after him, then there was Kamsa 5,000 years ago, a big demon. Now, as Kali Yuga progresses, mainly it's no big demons anymore, but lots of small ones. Before it was 1 or 2 big ones. Now it's many small ones. Yeah. And then Jayanti brought up a good point that it's said in Kali Yuga that the demons are within us. It means our own crazy mind. Our own crazy mind is like a demon. The demon of so many doubts and misgivings and so much, envy and jealousy and so forth like that. It's said that in Satya Yuga, the demons were on different planets. So one planet would have demons, one planet would have devotees like that. In Treta Yuga, the demons were on the same planet. That was like that. In the Ram appeared in Treta Yuga. So Ravana, he was on the same planet, but he was living in a different place. He lived on an island called Lanka, but on the same planet. And then in Dwapara Yuga, demons and the same family. So we have that in Dwapara Yuga, Krishna appeared in Dwapara Yuga. So the Kauravas and Pandavas, same family. The Pandavas are demigods or devotees, and the Kauravas were demons, asuras. But in Kali Yuga, the demons appearing in our own body. So there's got a fight going on within us. One day we feel like chanting Hare Krishna, another day we don't want to chant Hare Krishna. You know, so it's like that. So it's up and down. So yeah, the Lord, he comes to the material world to kill the demons, to remove the demons and protect, and in doing that, protecting the devotees, and also to re-establish the principles of religion. So those are the three main purposes why the Lord comes to the material world. So the Lord's always there to protect us. And one might question, but where is Krishna now? Now it's so bad. Now there's so many demons and we've got this virus everywhere. And why is Krishna not coming? You know, he came 500 years ago, 5,000 years ago, and came as last time as Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago. But what about now? Now I heard the next one coming is Kalki, and he's a long way away. He's 427,000 years away. How are we going to make it till then? 427,000 years away till the next scheduled incarnation comes. But actually it's said that the Lord has a very special incarnation now in Kali Yuga, and Jayanti said it, the holy name. Kaliera. No, there's another verse saying Kali. No, that's a good one. But there's one verse that's saying that Krishna in Kali Yuga, he's in the rupa and the form of Krishna Nama, of Krishna's holy name. That his avatar, there's one verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita saying that in Kali Yuga, his avatar in Kali Yuga is the holy name. So Krishna has appeared in the form of the holy name to protect us from all the demons within us and outside of us, and to purify us. Like I said, to cleanse our heart. You know, there's all these demons in our heart of lust and greed and anger and envy and pride and so forth. These are like demons. They're constantly disturbing us and creating misery for ourselves. So the holy name can remove all these demons from within us and also protect us externally from so many problems in this world. I mean, I know many cases, even in the recent history of ISKCON, where many devotees their lives have been saved by chanting. Their lives have been saved by chanting. You know, completely miraculous things happening due to the power of the holy name. And Prabhupada said that the only reason why this Hare Krishna movement has been successful, I mean, it was tremendously successful, especially when Prabhupada was present. But even, I mean, after he left, then obviously there's going to be difficult times when the founder Acharya, when the guru leaves, it's going to be a bit of a difficult period. But even, you know, we've still been progressing in many areas like that after Prabhupada left, but so much successes. And Prabhupada said the reason why we're successful is because we can't chant Hare Krishna. That's the reason why we're successful, is because we chant Hare Krishna. And he said the only reason why you've been protected from Maya, the only reason why you haven't fallen down, why you haven't, you know, why you've been protected from Maya is because you chant Hare Krishna. So that we don't really appreciate maybe how much we're protected by the holy name. If we weren't chanting the holy name, we would be just completely so much worse off. And we wouldn't be able to stand up in Krishna consciousness without chanting the holy name. And we notice that that's been noted by senior devotees, that before a particular person fell down from Krishna consciousness, they stopped chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, stopped chanting their 16 rounds, and then after that they fell away. So that was had been noticed. So, and that's because it's Krishna. The holy name is Krishna, is non-different from Krishna. So Krishna's descended right here with us now in the form of his holy name. So don't think that he just left 5,000 years ago, or he left, Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago, we missed out or whatever like that. We're not so fortunate. We missed out on seeing Krishna or whatever. But Krishna's actually present in his holy name. So we should take advantage of that and always try to have Krishna's association by chanting as much as possible. Now, Bob, you're also saying how it's a bit difficult because there's not much association, because we're, stuck in our houses with the lockdowns. We can't go to temples. We can't go to bhakti trees or other people's houses, devotees like that, and associate. But we should, Krishna himself, when he appeared in a prison, right? So much restrictions there. And that's just the nature of the material world. Often we don't have much freedom. But the one thing that no one can take away from us is our desire to serve Krishna, is our desire to chant. So we might have our freedom taken away to go down the road to the temple or the bhakti tree or whatever like that, or there's so many things might be taken away from us, but no one can take away our desire to hear about Krishna and to chant Krishna's names and to remember Krishna. So that's one thing, we should hold on to that, take advantage of that. And in one sense, this is a blessing that before we might have been running around doing some unnecessary things also, but now all these unnecessary things are stopped. Maybe we can't do our regular jobs or whatever like that. So now we have lots of time. We should just chant Hare Krishna more. If I was chanting 16 rounds before lockdown, maybe I can chant 20 rounds after, or 25 rounds a day after, or maybe I was reading for half an hour a day before, now I can read for 2 hours a day. So we should take shelter of Krishna more. And if ever it does get more difficult, if our life gets more difficult, what should we do? What's the solution? If our life gets more difficult at any point, what should we do?
Pray.
Pray, yeah. So basically take shelter of Krishna more, whether it's through prayer or chanting, or there's 9 processes of devotional service. So we should get into those things more. Like we see in Krishna's pastimes, whenever there was some really miserable situation, like at 2 different times, there was a forest fire in Vrindavan when Krishna was out with the cowherd boys and the cows, and they were surrounded by fire. And what did all the cowherd boys do when they were surrounded by fire? Did they call the fire brigade? Krishna, save us! Krishna, save us! And then they were so scared, so frightened, and they called out to Krishna, and they closed their eyes. And you know what Krishna did? Because out of fear, sometimes when you're so afraid, you don't even want to look anymore. You just close your eyes. You know what happened? Krishna just took a big breath in. He sucked in all the forest fire. He just inhaled the forest fire. And they opened their eyes, and it was completely back to normal again. So that's how we should take shelter of Krishna more. Whenever it gets more difficult, what is it they say? When the going gets tough, the tough get going. For us, it's when the going gets tough, we get out our japa beads. We get out our Bhagavad Gita, like that. We take prasadam like that. So we should take shelter of Krishna, And we might think, well, we don't have much devotee association. That's a big drawback, but we have, Prabhupada's books on our shelf, and that's in those books is Prabhupada is there, and his guru is there, and Lord Chaitanya is there in the books, the pastimes, and Krishna, of course, Nrsingadev, Varaha, Rama, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Narada Muni, you know, you name it, any decent devotee, he's there in the books. You know, Shukadeva Goswami, King Parikshit, the Pandavas, Arjuna, Yudhisthira is in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So you actually were associating with those persons. So you might think, well, oh, I can't go to the temple and associate with Kali Krishna anymore, or this one, that one, like that. But you can associate with these great personalities in the books. I mean, we might think it's different, but that's just because of our consciousness is not understanding. Just like we might think, well, the Hare Krishna and Rama, these are ordinary words, but actually they're not. They're actually God. Like Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna's dancing on your tongue. Of course, because we've got a very dull, ignorant consciousness, we don't realize that God's dancing on our tongue. But the actual fact, the reality is that God is dancing on our tongue. That God is actually present there when we're chanting. But that doesn't change the fact, you know, because we're not aware of the fact. Does that mean it's not a fact? You understand what I mean?
Yep.
If we're ignorant of the reality, does that change the reality?
No.
No, the reality is there. So, but we should try to become aware of that, and that will help keep us enthused, because enthusiasm is very important. We don't want to lose enthusiasm, especially that could be a thing that happens through this COVID virus and lockdown and a lack of association, whatever, that some devotees may lose enthusiasm. But we can reignite that enthusiasm if we realize that Krishna's present with me every day, you know, especially when I'm chanting. And when I'm eating prasadam, when I'm hearing his words of Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna's present, Arjuna's present when I read Bhagavad Gita. You know, Prabhupada's present. Prabhupada said, my books are better than me. So you're so fortunate. You've got the best of Prabhupada. You know, I never met Prabhupada. No, but you're reading Prabhupada's books. You are associating with Prabhupada. Don't think that you haven't met Prabhupada. You have. You know, you're meeting him in sound, in the form of sound vibration, which explained is no different than the person. In the spiritual terms, there's no difference between the person and the words of the person. Materially, there is difference. Like Prabhupada said, in the material world, if you say water, you can't taste water. But in the spiritual world, if you say water, then you can taste the water. It's actually the name water and the substance water is the same in the spiritual world. So that's the same with Krishna's names. That the person Krishna and the name Krishna is identical. So in the words of Krishna and the person Krishna is identical. The food offered to Krishna and Krishna, the person, is identical. So like that, this is called Advaita, which means absolute. So this is the absolute nature of Krishna consciousness. So we're very fortunate just by hearing and chanting and remembering Krishna, we're actually associating with Krishna. And that's why we feel so good these times when we chant and hear about Krishna's words or pastimes, why we feel so good, because actually Krishna's present. And we're becoming purified, whether we know it or not. We're becoming purified because we're actually associating with Krishna. So if you want to get purified faster, then what do you need to do?
Chant.
Yeah, you need to associate with Krishna more through chanting, through reading Bhagavad Gita, hearing from devotees like that, taking prasadam, all these different things, remembering Krishna, praying, like Jayanti said, praying, you know, so praying to Krishna. So the more we do these things means we're associating with Krishna. The more you associate with Krishna means the more purified you're going to become. The more purified you become. And the more we forget Krishna, the more contaminated we're going to become. And remember, as long as we're in the material world, Maya is always standing around the corner. She's everywhere. So as soon as you become a bit slack with associating with Krishna, she'll be there to fill the gap. So there won't be a gap very long. So if you don't fill it up with Krishna, she'll very kindly fill up the gap for you. So there's only two choices, Krishna and Maya. There's no third thing. So there's just Krishna and Maya. So, but like the verse says, that Krishna's like the sun and Maya's like the darkness. And wherever there is the Krishna sun, there cannot be any darkness of Maya. Right there. Okay, so we'll leave it at that for now. But would anyone else like to say anything? You may like to share something about Krishna, related to Krishna, from anything we've talked about, or something else that comes to mind.
I'd like to say thank you for today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bhakti Mala, for organising it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Bhakti Mala.
All right, I'm going to head off. I'll see you later, and I'll see you on Thursday.
Yes, yeah, we look
All right.
forward to it.
Gianni, you stay safe.
Yeah, take care, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Happy Janmashtami.
Thank you. Same to you.
Whenever we can't have devotees association, the way a devotee deals with that is we feel separation. We feel separation from the devotees. And we're always thinking, always hankering for when that time will be when we can meet. And that's what even happens in the spiritual world. Like when Krishna's with the cowherd boys during the day, he's not with the cowherd girls. So the cowherd girls are feeling separation, and they're feeling separation and thinking, when I will meet with Krishna, and then we will do this, we will be dancing, and when we'll do this, and I can massage his feet, I can offer him a garland. And so they're thinking about what they will do when they meet him. So they're meditating on that and feeling separation. And when Krishna's with the gopis at night, he's not with the cowherd boys. So the cowherd boys are thinking, oh, Krishna, we're missing Krishna. We'll see him tomorrow morning, and then we'll go out in the pasture with our lunch boxes, and then we'll play all sorts of games and go swimming in the Yamuna, and then we'll be herding the cows, and it'll be so much fun. So they're thinking about when they're going to meet with Krishna. So this is nice, that if we're feeling separation from the Lord, or obviously from the devotees, at least we may feel, like Bob was saying, he feels some separation there, that missing the devotees. So that's natural. And then you think about, that when I'll meet them, then we'll have so much fun, and we'll have a big kirtan, and we'll have a big feast, and then we'll go to sleep under a tree, and we can talk about Krishna together like that. So that's nice. So then we're oscillating between meeting and separation. That's really all there is. There's times of meeting when you meet with the people you love, and then there's times of separation from the people you love. But in spiritual life, there's no difference between meeting and separation. When you're meeting, it's Krishna consciousness, and when you're a separation, it's Krishna consciousness. But separation is actually good, because when you're feeling separation, like that, even like when you're with the devotees, you might not value them very much, or you might not appreciate them very much, or you might not think about them very much. But when you don't have them, you don't have their association, then you think about them more. It's like that.
Yeah. When you read them, they just annoy you, and then
they annoy you. So, familiarity breeds contempt, right? So yeah, and then when you don't have it, then you miss them.
Then you can say absence makes the heart grow fonder.
He's saying absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so separation's actually very good. Bob's, missing the devotees. So that's actually very good for our Krishna consciousness. Then we should think about the devotees more and, what did they say? And I should try to follow their instructions and like that. And
But why people have been separated from Krishna for so long? But there's not many who hanker for him. It's mind-boggling.
That's a choice, isn't
it is, but like Jayanti just said, but it's their choice. So, we're here due to our choice that we've made in the past, and Krishna's not going to interfere with that choice that we've made. He gives us an opportunity to different options that we can make our way back. But we came here with the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, so he's not going to force us otherwise. So he's giving us facility to do that, but at the same time, that's why he incarnates in the material world to say, here I am, don't forget me, I'm your best friend, really. I'm God, Krishna, and you can enjoy more with me than in the material world. And he demonstrated that in his pastimes, that one can have far, far, far greater enjoyment with Krishna than without Krishna. But still, the living entities have free choice. And so we can't really blame anyone other than ourselves for our situation in the material world. But yeah, it can seem bewildering that there's such a vast number of souls there in forgetfulness of Krishna, and not many are in Krishna consciousness. But we shouldn't forget that of Krishna's total creation, only 1/4, 25%, is the material world. 75%, 3/4, is the spiritual world. So there's far more devotees in Krishna consciousness serving Krishna very lovingly than there are those that are in Maya. So we're in the material. It looks like hardly anyone's Krishna conscious, but we're only in one tiny corner of Krishna's creation. We might think we're outnumbered or whatever, but actually the devotees far outnumber more than 75% the non-devotees. Because the spiritual world is 3 times bigger than the material world. And so, but within the material world, you expect, like, if you go into a prison, who do you expect to find? Honest citizens? No, the crooks. So we're in the prison. So don't be surprised, that we're a bunch of crooks around us. So because we're in the prison, that's what the material world is about. So don't expect to find a saint on every corner. Although there are, and deep down we are all saints. Deep down we are all, like I said, we're part and parcel of Krishna, like the hand is part of the body. But we've just, gone away from that from a period of time. But that can be revived, and we see that, going from myself, earlier in my life, I was a full-on demon. But by the mercy of the Devotees Association, they helped to revive Krishna consciousness in me. So that can be revived. That can be revived in anyone. But still, Krishna, neither the devotees, neither Krishnas can force. We can just try to, help others like that by going out and chanting and distributing prasadam and giving books and things like that. But the person still they have their free choice whether they take it or not. And Durga, Mother Nature, is helping that situation because she's inflicting suffering, and that's bringing down that huge pride and big ego that we all have that brought us to this material world. And then when we get crunched down a bit with the help of Durga's inflicting suffering on us, then then we become more receptive. Then we become more receptive to the message of the devotees. So that is there is a universal plan. Krishna's descending to attract us, and the Vedic literatures are there to attract us. The devotees are there to attract us, and then on the other side, Maya is there to kick us. So we're being pulled and pushed to come back to Godhead. So there is a plan. There is a plan. What do you think, Deepa?
Yeah, even now, I mean, with COVID and all that, but the vast majority of people are, they're all turning to science as if science is God, and they are, and it's really, they fight. I was telling you about how I was talking with my neighbor friend, and the moment I mentioned God, and she, we were almost arguing and fighting with each other. That was yeah.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be surprised, because that's the mentality that the soul has adopted, that of being anti-God, and that's why we came here with that mentality. So, we shouldn't be surprised that that's going to be there. And some of us are trying to come out of that, but we're at different levels. But you're saying that, it seems like society, they're going away from it more, but I'm not so sure, because I just saw today there in some news that the most popular post on Facebook, it was mentioned, I think, between April and June, had like 70 million views. And guess whose post that was?
Yo.
It was an ISKCON devotee. 70 million views, like hundreds of thousands of people had commented, or comments, like hundreds of thousands of comments, 70 million views. It was a post by an ISKCON devotee named Gopal Guru. Oh, sorry, Gaur Gopal Das. So, and it was on the planet. It was the most viewed Facebook post on the planet in that 3-month period. And then it said number 2 was, like, I think the President of the United States had 50 million views or something, but he was like 20 million views ahead of the President of the United States, so he was far ahead, and so what do 70 million people want to read something that a Hare Krishna monk wrote? So for me, that's a good sign. I think maybe that people are suffering, and they're realizing maybe we can look for some that this science, and that's not really helping us, and the medical system, the government's not helping us. Maybe we can look towards spirituality. Otherwise, why would 70 million people look at a post from a Hare Krishna monk? He's wearing saffron and tilak and shaven head and everything. He got 70 million people, ordinary people, are checking that out and writing things like that. So he had figured out, something obviously very attractive to write, and yeah, they were into it. So I think there are some good signs that there may be some change, in the consciousness of people. And
but also it's in the nature of the people in Kali Yuga that they are like misguided, so it's easy for them to kind of run after scientists or something rather than
Yeah.
turn to God.
It's like I say, it's expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can you hear what Jayanti's saying?
A little bit. It's a bit far away, but hey.
Closer. Yeah.
Now, just saying, like in the Bhagavatam, it mentions that the nature of the people in Kali Yuga, you know, that they are like they have short lives, they're lazy, they're quarrelsome, they are misguided, unlucky, and always disturbed. You know, these are the characteristics mentioned of people in this age of Kali. You know, and then see, one of those characteristics which is mentioned is misguided, and you know, so it's very easy for people to actually start believing in scientists, or rather they'd rather turn to scientists rather than turn to God, you know, because it's just easier to get swayed. And like Prabhupada said, you know, the cheaters and the cheated. So the scientists put a nice spin on their language, and you know, people get cheated.
It is disappointing though, I know, because I was with Christine the other day, and as you know, like at one stage Christine was like gonna be a devotee and get initiated, and I keep associating with her because I keep thinking maybe she's going to come back to Krishna, and then I saw her the other day and she started smoking again and all these things, and I just was like, oh, I had to leave because I thought the association's just, it's going downhill, and she was saying how much she's enjoying it, and I was just, yeah, it's frustrating because I kept thinking maybe she's going to come back, and it's just going, she's just going in the opposite direction more and more and more, and it's frustrating to see, because you know how happy a person could be if they just turn towards Krishna, towards God. But sometimes there's just nothing you can do. It's up to the individual, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So we can pray for her and like that, but we should also know that, you know, whatever service she has done, and she's chanted and had prasadam and so many things, that's not going to get lost. That's not going to be lost.
Yeah.
There's no loss. So at some point she'll be able to carry on where she left off, whether it's later in this life or in the next life. So there's no loss, really. Whatever credits she has in her spiritual bank account is always going to be there. That's never going to be lost or forgotten.
Yeah.
And like I say, Durga may make some arrangements that she gets a few kicks and then misses Krishna consciousness and wants to come back. So we've seen many cases of devotees that have fallen away and then come back later on, you know, and they suffer a lot when they depart from Krishna consciousness, and then they may realize that and then come back. But in any case, then still they'll get to progress from where they left off sooner or later. The worst thing is for people that never had any connection with Krishna consciousness in their life. They're the sad ones. Someone that's chanted even Hare Krishna once is the most fortunate person. Or they had prasadam once in their life. There's nothing to worry about them. It's the ones that they've never heard the holy name, they've never chanted the holy name, they've never received a book from Prabhupada's books, they've never met a devotee, they've never had Krishna's prasadam. Those ones are the unfortunate ones. And that's why devotees should try to be very active in reaching out to people. And I mean, that's clever, you know, like that devotee I mentioned, you know, through Facebook, he's connecting with like 70 million people. I mean, that's what you want to do is try to give people some little bit of a connection that they, you know, they might think, oh, this guy is a Hare Krishna. But just by them thinking this guy is a Hare Krishna, then Krishna gives them credit. And that's brilliant. That's brilliant. You know, so somehow we want to try to give as many people as we can some little contact. And it's so powerful. Even once in their whole life, if they hear the name Krishna once or chant the name Krishna once, they're so fortunate. And Krishna will definitely make some arrangement that they can come closer, like that, and then they're out of here. So I wouldn't worry about her, but I mean, definitely we pray for Christine that she can come back to Krishna consciousness, but she's actually very fortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't risk yourself getting dragged down.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't been that long away from all that sort of thing either, so I'm not really want to associate with that sort of thing. You know, it's hard. Yeah. Yeah, just this, I guess this time of year just makes you realise how fortunate we are that, you know, we come to Krishna consciousness and met devotees and, you know, Prabhupada and gurus, and very blessed.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice time to reflect. And I think also just not being, you know, so if we're at the temple so busy with service, we wouldn't have as much time to reflect. But I think it's that's a good thing about lockdown, is it gives you more time to think about things, and then you might think, oh, I remember that verse, and you go read that, and then, you know, I think that's a nice thing about lockdown.
Yeah. That, you know, all our materialistic activities are locked up, you know, but that's good for spiritual life. That's good for spiritual life.
Yeah.
Then we're forced to take to the spiritual things. That's all that's left. So it's a blessing in disguise, I think, actually.
Yeah. So you guys are fasting today, or you're
No, tomorrow.
Going to do tomorrow. Okay.
We'll do tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because there won't be any temple programs, it may be difficult to do the normal thing that we would do, which would be staying up till midnight and then breaking fast, having a little prasadam at midnight. So if you can't do all that, don't worry about it. I don't think I'm going to stay up till midnight either. And
I'm going to try.
I mean, it's easier when you're with 50 people or 100 or 1,000 people to stay up till midnight when there's chanting going on and talks and everything like that. And I mean, if you can, that's great. Just by yourself, stay up till midnight and have something to eat at midnight. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Just try your best. Yeah. And Krishna knows, and the difficult circumstances that we're facing at the moment, that, you know, we may not be able to do everything perfectly.
I spoke to Mahabhadra, and he said he's going to try and chant 64 rounds tomorrow.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's good. And my mum's coming over tomorrow, and we're going to make garlands.
Oh, nice.
Just for my pictures, but anyway.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, your mum's going to do it. So that's great. Yeah,
she wants to help make garlands. So I thought, oh, yeah,
cool.
That'd be fun.
Facebook Live tomorrow, isn't it?
Pardon?
New Gokul is having a Facebook Live.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's good.
That's somewhere. Yeah.
7:30 to 8:30.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yes.
From 7:30 until 8:30. They stop at 8:30, is it? The live bit.
I don't know. Like, usually they let it go on and on, but for some reason that's what they told me to put in the newsletter. But
oh, right, okay.
We also advertise that MyPaw TV. You can go onto, I think, MyPaw and watch what's going on there, and I think you can go to lots of TVs around the world.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing with the technology.
And also, I think you had sent me something for Wednesday, was it? Prabhupada appearance there. That was happening Wednesday evening.
Yeah, that's Wednesday evening. So that would be nice.
That's also from the temple, is it?
Oh no, Catherine, a devotee that was staying at the farm at one stage, she's in Sydney, so she's organising it from a group.
Oh, okay.
Sydney.
Mayapur, because yesterday talking with Prema Bhakti Mataji, she was telling that everything is pretty much, closed in Mayapur.
Mayapur?
Yeah.
It's closed or open?
Apparently, it's been all closed. Even nothing's been happening at Mayapur. I was talking with Prema Bhakti Mataji yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just
Yeah, they had many cases there. Many cases of COVID there in Mayapur. Yeah.